I actually don't know the score. I know it was 8 overtimes.
44-42? Is that it, Ryan?
I didn't know it was 8 overtimes until
This video is brought to you by exhaustion.
What a roller coaster of a game this was. Georgia's down 17-0 at the half, fellas. It was looking ugly. The offense was atrocious for 2.5 quarters, but they got that first touchdown to Oscar Delp, and they scored 5 straight touchdowns after that.
Did they really?
Yeah. Fought their way back into this game. Epic come from behind win. Was ugly at times, Ryan, but Carson back 5 touchdown passes. He was phenomenal in this game. The defense came up, made stops when they needed to. They gave up 260 yards on the ground. Kirby was not happy with that. And Haynes King played like a damn warrior out there.
What year is he?
I think this is his last year, but I mean, he laid it all on the line. At the end of the day, Georgia's offense really turned it on in the second half. They got the scores they needed to in overtime, and the defense, Ryan, not great for a lot of the game. Still some issues tackling, but they made key stops as well down the stretch. Epic, unreal game.
Yeah, the problems that we saw for Georgia in this game were the problems we've been seeing all year long, right? And it just turned out to, well, this is foggy.
I know, man. We're making it work.
I mean, 260 yards on the ground is bad, and it comes after a week. We were like, well, it can't get much worse than allowing 200 to UMass. It can. 6 days later, and drops. They got beat up front for pretty much the entire first half and chunks of the third quarter. It was bad, and that's the reason why they were in the position that they were in. Georgia's a better team than Georgia Tech, and it's not close. Right? It's not very close. I think that's a solid Georgia Tech team, and we've seen them play some good games this year. They beat a solid Miami team, not an amazing Miami team, but they beat a pretty good Miami team. They fought early in the year. I just, we've seen just in these last few years, obviously you guys are older than me, but just in these last few years when we've all been doing this together, we've seen crazy games, and we've seen Georgia come back from behind a lot. And this was just another one of those games. Look, a lot of people quit on them in the fourth quarter. I checked out. I didn't think that they were going to win that game. They get the score. They get the turnover, which was huge. Oh, man. Probably the biggest play of the entire game.
What are you doing? What? That is illegal!
That was almost a disaster.
Oh, my God.
That was so bad.
That could have been really unfortunate for them.
Yeah, that could have been really dangerous.
What was he doing?
He's probably drunk driving.
Obviously drunk, but still.
Oh, my God. I don't know exactly where. The most important play of the game was that fumble. Right at the end there.
Danny Jackson forced it. Chaz Chambliss jumped on it.
I have so much to say about this game, this rivalry. This is my childhood, all this stuff. So no one knew that fumble was there. No one knew it. Haynes King knew it. That was it. Now here we go. Now stop. What is that? The same person?
Yeah, the guy in front of us is.
The guy in front of us is.
It's no wonder he's got marks on the back of his car.
Yeah, this is almost a nightmare out here, as it was on the field for a while. There's a record number of honks already.
Yeah, you went from last week. You got very calm Ryan.
Yeah, but he about hit someone dead on.
This guy is a problem.
The real problem. The drops are a big problem. The tackling, the effort's a big problem.
The tackling's bad. This team cannot play like this and legitimately expect to win next week. But that's any game.
That's a theme. That's been a theme.
I know,
for this team.
But how much can? Okay, so I don't even really know where to start with this game. First of all, that fumble. First of all, I just want to say Larry Munson would have loved this game. Larry Munson would have stewed in it. He would have been, this would have been the best Larry Munson we've seen since probably the Ohio State game. And this Georgia team has got some work to do. Now, Kirby explained some things in the post game. Oh, he's going to turn left. Okay. This is going to be fun. You can't turn left, and you're going to turn left. Okay. So Kirby explained some things in the post game. I have to just say, I know he knows way more about football than I will ever. He's forgotten more about it, but
he loves to tell you about it.
I don't know why they went for 2.
The analytics.
I don't
agree with it either.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
They could have won the game in regulation if they
they would have won the game in regulation. So I think sometimes, listen, the guy is the best coach in college football for me. But sometimes he's just the smartest he's just too smart, literally. I mean, He's a very intelligent guy, and I did not understand that. Like, I didn't understand this person should not be driving in front of us. They cannot function right
We
now.
could phone in a drunk driver.
Well, it needs to be considered because this is bad. But he's going to turn left and go. This guy is turning left,
my God.
going the wrong way.
He gets what
down
he
a
deserves.
runway. Down a one way. He's literally. You can't. There. He just went by that guy. He is in a truck. Now he's decided.
No, he's toast.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So
I couldn't get the plates.
I have to say, I
get
just
the plate.
I listen, and it is really with all due respect. I didn't understand that, and I'm not the only one. I got a lot of football people that I know and trust, and I didn't understand that at all. But okay. I don't even know where to start, Ryan. I mean, the Dan Jackson play he knocked the shit out of him, first of all.
Almost thought it was targeting for a second.
And then, I mean, these officials were not good. These officials were straight up not good tonight. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's been a problem all year.
But if that was pass interference on the one, I'm like, I don't understand how you miss these
Humphreys,
calls.
when they tackled him to the ground.
That was pass interference. The pass interference in the overtime, which I don't know which one, I couldn't say.
Which one was the field?
I'm sorry, I have a lot to say, and I know I've not done like these times, but let me just throw it back to y'all. Kirby didn't know that was a fumble. The only person that knew that was a fumble was Haynes King. That's it, because I don't think Dan Jackson knew. And there sat Chaz Chambliss, who has been, I don't know about ridiculed, but shit on by about as much of this Georgia fandom. It's insane to me. He made a game-winning, not the game-winning. He made a game-winning play tonight. When does Chaz Chambliss get his congratulations? Carson Beck was overly emotional coming off the field.
Yeah.
I've seen Carson a lot in my life. He was having I don't know if he was having a hard time. He was super emotional. That was a big win for them in the moment. Does it matter at the end of the day, Matt?
It matters to those seniors that Kirby talked
well, I
about
guess they're in the
afterwards,
playoff now.
Yeah.
So, like, that discussion's over. Alabama was, like, watching, going, this is going great.
Yeah.
But now they need Tennessee to lose to Vanderbilt. I just don't think that's
The
gonna
Dogs are in. Let's talk about the game-winning score. Nate Frazier, touchdown. It felt like they needed to run the ball at some point. Georgia Tech was on their heels. Defense was getting tired.
Dude,
and I
everybody
remember
was
thinking, just run the ball. Play one more power football run here. Get in the end zone in the game. Because Georgia Tech was holding Georgia's receivers in the end zone throughout overtime. I mean, there was nowhere for Carson to throw the ball.
That was pass interference.
They let a lot go, and I get it. Down, towards the end of the game like that, every play matters. They're going to let some of those things go, but it was still inconsistent. But Nate Frazier almost fumbled the football on like the 1 or 2 yard line.
I think he did fumble.
I think his butt got down.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Overturn it. It was very close, though. And that play, if it goes the wrong way,
they lose.
They probably lose.
They certainly should have lost this game. But I think that's perhaps, I'll throw it to Ryan. I don't know, man. Sometimes they were about to earn a loss tonight, listen, I have to say this too. With complete, I've been around Tech my whole life. I grew up in Clarkston, in Tucker. I went to McLennan Elementary School. We were adopted by Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets came and they wanted to give me a dad. My dad got pissed about that because my parents were divorced, and my father was furious that they felt like I was an at-risk child. He was pissed. And so that's where my attention with Georgia Tech really started in like 2nd or 3rd grade, whatever it was. My father could not have been madder. And anyway, I'll let that stay in the video because he said he has a dad. He has a father. So that's when my long, what are you talking about, 40 some odd year journey with Tech began. And that place despises Georgia. They think Georgia's lower than them. They think Georgia only wins because they have dumb football players and they ignore some of the guys that have played for them. I've had friends that have played there. Some of the guys that I know. I've had friends that have coached there. It's a great institution. This is a way better rivalry than people realize. But there's nothing worse for Georgia. Literally nothing worse than losing to Georgia Tech.
I'm going to piggyback.
It's hard to put into words.
They shouldn't lose to Tech.
Never.
This program, with the resources they have, And they will always have more talent.
I was
than
just
Georgia
worried
Tech.
that he was going to come over. You need to blend in, asshole.
Shit.
I'm gonna throw the seatbelt back on here as I took the jacket off. But the streets are
What
wild
is happening tonight?
Streets
Am
are
I
wild.
wrong about
No,
that?
no,
these people are out of control.
No.
Yes, they should never lose to them. But however,
That would have been awful tonight. Disastrous.
this
loss.
was the moment for Tech to get Georgia. Now they may get them next year. I don't know.
They
But
are heading in the right direction. But
Well, they are, but they're still 7-5 or what is it? I don't know what they are. But like, you got to win this game if you're Tech. You're up 17-0 at the half, and you got a 3 and out. They only scored a touchdown or whatever it was in the second half. Georgia shut them down basically.
They had 7 overtimes to beat Georgia.
I thought they were.
8
now,
overtimes. And they didn't do it.
when I'm on the field, all I can do is plan for what's next. And y'all know how I am. I have a 500 millimeter, I have my remote, and I have my 70-200. Well, the 70-200 ain't gonna work in a post-game celebration. So I had to go and switch out lenses, and here I am. The rest of the overtime, they're sending us back and forth. I've never seen that.
They've got to stay on one end.
I've never seen that. I've covered many overtimes. I mean, Georgia Alabama was 1 overtime, but Tech Georgia in 13 was not.
Was ABC a bigger winner than Georgia
For sure.
tonight?
This was.
They loved everything.
I don't think this will
tonight.
get 10 million, but it sets up for Tech Georgia next year.
Yeah.
People should expect this game to be on Friday nights from now on. This is what it's going to be, or Friday, and it'll toggle with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. But Tech. I mean, I've got my first cousin who we're very close with. Two first cousins went to Tech. This is their game, period. And they basically come into it with nothing to lose at all. And Brent Key has done a superb job of correcting the stupidity of the Jeff Collins era, and and making them move forward. Haynes King is a very difficult quarterback to deal with. He will leave Tech, the way I understand it at least. He will leave Tech tonight having never beaten Georgia. He's not unique in that front. But Kirby lost his last game to Tech. This is a really hard game to explain to people that are not from Georgia.
Yeah.
Isn't this Haynes King's second year there?
Yeah, but he transferred from A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my steps in tonight, that's for sure. My feet hurt a little bit.
You had to go back and forth.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I barely got there in time because they were going like this, which I get, and I was cool with that a little bit. I said that my goal is for the game to be over at 11. Was it even over at midnight? They laughed in my face.
They went into
They laughed
Saturday.
in my face.
It's Saturday, which is another thing.
They
Our body
screw your
clocks
night.
are totally screwed up right now, are they not? We have pizza.
My kid didn't sleep last night, so I'm running on them.
That's
That's
It's
not
brutal.
good.
But tomorrow is Matter Day, so it's all It's it's Matter Day.
Look, if you want to look at tonight's game and then look at the matchup next, like they're going to play Texas or Texas A&M. Texas A&M is going to run a similar type of offense to what they saw tonight, and it's probably a better version of what Tech was.
But it will be a different game.
It'll be a different game.
It'll be a different game. And I'm not here to make apologies for Georgia. They play like that again, the season's going to be over. Well, not if they lose in the SEC championship game, but
we don't know that for sure.
We don't know that, man, but
we just don't know that for sure.
Like Miami lost to Georgia Tech.
Well, Miami should have never been ranked in front of Georgia in the first place this last 3 weeks.
So are we doing this whole thing where Penn State gets a 1-point win at Wisconsin? Or Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Like, what's the difference here? So Georgia's in, like, Alabama in their 3 losses can't pass Georgia in their 2. And Georgia will probably be favored in the SEC championship game, and people will not understand that.
Yeah. No, they're 9.5-point favorite right now if it's A&M, and about a 1.5 right now.
Which means Texas. If it were Texas, they could become the underdog.
They could. I think you'd feel solid about Georgia's chances against Texas again in a completely different environment.
Guys got to catch the ball, y'all.
Yeah, no,
That's
look,
unacceptable.
It is so bad.
When I say guys,
all of them.
Well, but I mean Arian Smith, like.
And Dominic Lovett, though, he came up clutch, but Dominic Lovett dropped. He bobbled and then fumbled.
But he also had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But Arian's got to play better, more
He's got
consistent.
to. Arian could have ended that game earlier.
He had 3 drops and 2 catches.
It's
What
just
are we doing?
not good enough.
3 drops.
He had a touchdown that
It
that
would have ended the game.
It would have ended the
I know it
game.
was tipped before, but it still hit his hands.
It did. And like, you know, I have so much sympathy for these guys having gone slightly through what they went through, where you're out there and you know practice all this stuff, but you got to do it at some point.
We don't want to crush these kids, but again,
no,
you're there
I don't.
to catch the football.
I don't want to, but
you got to do your job.
Carson Beck. Does anyone want to shit on Carson Beck right now?
No, what a turnaround over the last 3 weeks.
This guy, that drive before the game tying drive, that was really
when
nice.
they were down 13-27.
There were a lot of different throws there. That wasn't just I'm throwing it through a wall. And that one ball to, I can't remember who it was.
I think it was to Lucky.
Yeah. But like the ball to Cash Jones in overtime, that should have won the game.
A lot of Georgia fans missed it, I think, as they were heading.
They did. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand. There were 2 Tech guys. Here's the thing about the Tech folks, man. God love them. They're not going to wear Tech stuff into the stadium. I spotted a couple. They'll wear blue. A lot. If they're brave, they'll wear the gold. But a lot of them just go clandestine. They're going straight up camo or like camouflage, not actual camouflage, but like they will disguise themselves, and then they find themselves after a couple scores. And there were a couple of guys that were waving bye to the Georgia fans. And if you were in lower 100 level in the stadium side opposite the Tech sideline, you know who you are, and you got a great glimpse of Georgia Tech doing what happens most, which is lose to Georgia. And they lost right in that end zone. I personally, Ryan, would have preferred one end zone.
Yeah, I would have as well.
I'm going to go turn the oven on and you're all going to continue.
Yeah, it just, look, like I said at the beginning, the problems that we saw tonight are problems we've seen all year. Are they going to be the things that hold them back from going far in this?
But the question is, can they overcome them?
I mean, they've overcome it multiple times. They did not play well on offense.
No?
They're going to keep dropping passes. I don't think that's going to change. But what we've found about this team and what we've known, we've talked weeks about how battle-tested this team is. This team is war-tested.
Yeah.
They've gone through the trenches and back. They're about as battle-tested as any team I've seen in years. The schedule they've gone and the games they've had to play and the way they've had to win. Every game, even against UMass, technically, Ryan, that's a come-from-behind win, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like almost every game they're behind early, like last year. And today, down 17-0 at half, it looked like 2013.
I thought they were still okay at the half.
Over.
At the half, it was fine. And then they come out with a 3 and
less
out.
than 6 minutes left. They were in big trouble.
They were in serious trouble.
And they did
everything
I texted y'all, I said that's probably it.
Yeah, and I felt the same way.
The problem was Tech scored too fast, if you want to call it that. No, the problem was Haynes King fumbled.
Yeah, no, I mean that was their biggest problem, and they didn't put Georgia away enough.
They did not. They kicked a lot of. They missed a field goal. They kicked some field goals. They missed some opportunities. Georgia did too.
Yeah, you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at this and say, "Wow, this Georgia team, that's just a disaster. That they're not going to go far." Or you could look at it and say, "They've been resilient. They against Alabama, way bigger comeback effort than we saw tonight." And they almost won that game. They had to do it tonight. They had to fight against Kentucky early on in the game, or early on in the season. They had to deal with. They dealt with that in Ole Miss. Beck said that a week ago.
Carson's exhausted.
Kirby talked about that tonight. Yeah, Carson should be exhausted.
He said
there were games where he didn't have help.
He said, "What'd you say?"
There were games where he didn't have help, like at Ole Miss.
This one was not. If you don't have Carson Beck, they don't win this game.
No, and we can say that about multiple games this year. But it's
how many did he have? 40 passes.
43 passes, 297 and 5 touchdowns. How many of those were in overtime?
So I'm not
0 interceptions.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works.
Did Georgia turn the ball over?
Those aren't counted as touchdowns.
Georgia did turn the ball over when Dylan Bell turned it over. They had some serious.
When Lovett fumbled.
Excuse me. The stadium was ready to go. But
it was.
I
didn't think it was going to be a full crowd.
They did pretty well.
Yeah.
But like the team's got to do their part too, and like this is back-to-back, games where they're just not. I just don't know. I mean, like I don't know why it's got to be this hard.
It just feels like surprising. They play every game tough. They don't know how to.
They don't know how to just make it easy, I guess you could say.
It's hard to.
My wife is here. I was unaware of that. Oh my God.
Oh,
Is that a good thing or a bad
God,
thing?
it's fine, but she's got to go to Clemson tomorrow, / in 5 hours. For God's sakes.
I got to be up in 4 hours.
But you're a man.
I am a man.
And she is too,
I am a man.
in that way, whatever.
Oh, your wife's a badass.
Yeah, well, she
really
tries.
is.
I'm going to turn the pizza on. Continue.
Yeah. Ryan, they have won games in different ways. It seems like this team has that winning DNA. I need everyone to see my beautiful face in here.
Oh, we got
Let's
this
get some light on this. Yeah.
on that.
Oh, my nose
on
doesn't
that
take
mug.
up the whole camera. They've won in shootouts. They've come from behind victories. They've won games in a lot of different ways. But a theme this season, they've let quarterbacks run on them. And Haynes King looked like, Jalen Milroe for a little bit, not, running, with straight quarterback runs. Some of them were, but he was able to scramble and just elude guys on like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5 for 6-7 yards. He did that multiple times. And that's when you started to think, man, this is really not going Georgia's way. That touchdown to go up 17-0, where Jamal Haynes dives over, hell of a play. But I remember thinking, everything is going their way. They are playing their butts off. This is their Super Bowl. And I expected that this week. I thought Georgia Tech would give it their best shot. They did, but Georgia played like a champion from the mid-third quarter on, and they did what champions do. They survived, and they beat a team that played better than them and probably should have deserved to win, but Georgia got it done.
Yeah, Kirby talked about it. They ran a defense that they don't normally run, and they loaded the box. But you're right. It is a problem they've had. Obviously, Jalen Milroe is kind of one of one when it comes to a guy that can run. But, like you said, Haynes King was a warrior tonight. But the thing that was surprising, and it was the thing that shocked not just Kirby, but probably all of us, he threw the ball well. And he waited his turn. Georgia did not get pressure on him, especially early on in the game. The front seven couldn't get home. Those edge guys couldn't get home. Haynes King has all this time to throw. He's moving around in the pocket, making high-level plays in the pocket where he's dodging guys. He's waiting for someone to get open. Because what did they do? They loaded the box, and someone's going to be open if they've got time. And it worked out almost every single time early on. As Kirby and these Georgia teams have done over and over, they adjusted in the second half and things got better. But yeah, look, if it does end up being Texas A&M, Marcel Reed is a freak, right? He might not be an amazing quarterback, but in terms of passing the ball, but as a runner, he's better than Haynes King, and they're going to have better guys up front. It could be Texas, but if it's A&M and they don't figure out the tackling issues in the next 7 or 8 days, and they don't adjust to what happened tonight, it's going to be a long one in Atlanta.
They've got to get off blocks, too. They've got to attack and play a little faster and just get off those blocks. Georgia Tech, that once they latched on to those Georgia defenders, especially in that first half, they weren't getting off the blocks, and they were able to run the football, and Haynes King was able to buy time while looking down the field. The pocket presence, I thought, was really, really impressive for him. He didn't look rattled. He looked, he played the position like, it was their Super Bowl, and he wanted to lead them to victory. Almost did it, but ton of respect for Brent Key and what Georgia Tech did. They came out and fought, but, Georgia did what they do. They played like champions when it mattered most, and they survived.
I don't know.
They took it, though. They took that victory.
They did.
They should not have won that game.
They should not
They
have won, but
almost
they
earned
took
the
it
loss,
from
and then they earned the win.
The last 4 whatever minutes went out. So when do they go ahead?
There's a scoring chart. It goes
Yeah,
into the
so
second page.
So Georgia was down 14 with 3 minutes and 39 seconds to go. So that's when
right before they scored.
Right. So with about 4 minutes to go, Georgia was down. That fumble from Dan Jackson, that will probably make him a Georgia legend. I know that sounds strange, but people don't understand this rivalry, man.
To the people who care.
And know for sure.
What that play did.
But Carson Beck, man, 300, 5 touchdowns. I don't know how many drops. 4 at least.
And
at
2
least
2-point conversions.
Probably 5 drops actually.
So Tech and Georgia only converted. Well, Georgia converted 4 of the 8. Tech only 3.
8 overtimes. It's still hard
It was
to wrap my mind
exhausting.
around. It was.
I think it's an
We
SEC
kept going
record.
back and forth to the point I didn't know we were in the 8th overtime.
So-
There was a point where I just didn't know anymore.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I asked Carson, did you? So Carson admitted that he was not quite sure the situation. Someone else can replay that, but I will tell you, it did get confusing after a while with the first two. I thought we did one from the 25, one inning, and then we went to the twos. But apparently we did two.
Yeah, it's the third one they go to two. What I was confused about was
And they scored on those.
Yeah.
What I was confused about was that you had to go for two in the second overtime.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then it's just two-point conversion starting in the third. But I was confused about that in the second overtime. I was like, why are they going for two?
Man, that
And then
ball
Georgia
to
went
Cash
for two.
Jones was
I
perfect. I got a
nailed
beautiful
that shot too. I
angle
nailed
of that
that
from the
shot.
press box. Perfect ball.
Cash Jones is something else, man. I mean, Cash Jones, walk on.
Dan Jackson.
walk
Kirby
on.
talked about it tonight. Dan
Stetson
Jackson's not
Bennett,
even a
walk
walk-on they
on.
recruited. He's the guy that showed up at their doorstep asking for a spot on the team and tried out.
So the pass interference on Small Mundo was something else too.
Yeah, that was borderline.
Yeah.
Georgia did get a little luck because Tech missed a field goal. We talked before the game. I think only one kicker
Crazy.
has missed against Georgia all year, and it was against
It was
Auburn.
a short one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And Georgia Tech missed that field goal. That
But King alone
mattered.
accounted for 400 yards.
I think Peyton Woodring tonight missed only his second kick of the year.
Well, that was. It was
He had made all of
ugly.
his extra
Yeah, he
points.
missed that
That was
one
ugly.
bad.
Yeah,
He
it was
missed that
short.
one
I think it
bad.
was into the winds.
It was to the right immediately. It was the Ohio State kick. I mean, it was bad. But listen, I just don't even know what to say. I mean, the assumption people will make is, oh, they played like this, they won't be good. This is the same team that played Kentucky and narrowly won that game, and then later in the season beat Tennessee, beat Texas, beat Auburn.
A Florida team that's playing.
Florida, the team that is playing well. So we don't know what we don't know with these guys yet. What I do know is it's Matter Day tomorrow, and then we'll get to watch all these games and just see. I was unaware that my family would be here, but they clearly are. I should bring Alex out here right now. That would be something else. And then,
That would be sick.
but it was it's when you are Georgia, you're supposed to beat Tech. There's not a lot of satisfactory feelings afterwards, but those guys were really pumped. They were happy to get the governor's trophy from Brian Kemp. It was a big deal for Georgia. They almost certainly go to the playoff now.
a crazy season that
Yes.
has just had a crazier game after a crazier game. We went to Kentucky this year and watched Georgia have to claw one out. We went to Alabama, dealt with Donald Trump's BS,
That was bad.
getting into the stadium, watched one of the craziest second halves I've ever seen.
This season.
We went to Texas and we saw trash get thrown. He got hit with
I
stuff.
forgot about that.
Y'all went to Texas.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I'm not taking.
you were
we
there.
went to Ole
It's-
Miss and it poured and they got crushed. And the field rush, I was in a field rush. We watched them tear down a goalpost. We watched UMass run for 200 yards on them. And then we watched an 8 overtime game tonight. And it's just the end of the regular season.
Real quick, I want to go back to the first play of the game where they have the running back bottled up for no gain, and he bounces out. They let him escape, and he rushed for 44 yards. And I remember thinking then, oh, this is going to be that type of game where they're not tackling, and Tech ends up almost scoring a touchdown. They kicked the field goal, but even then it was like Ryan said, those struggles are coming up again. First play of the game, and then the drops happened early, and it was like, oh boy, here we go again. But again, they battled back, and 8 overtime victory, come from behind. I know a lot of Georgia fans are going to be mad about the way the defense played and the drops, and I get all that, but if you're not relieved and if you can't enjoy this win, I don't know what to tell you, because that was almost a disastrous loss and one of the biggest wins in Georgia Tech history.
Right.
And instead,
Right.
Georgia ripped their heart out. If you can't enjoy this, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you either win or you don't. And for the Jackets, they lost tonight. They had the ability, up 17 and forcing a 3 and out, to put Georgia on life support with the playoff. And they lost. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about them, because I thought they really played so well, but they lost. I mean, and you have to win. This is a zero-sum game. You have to win, and at the end of the day, the calculus was very simple. Georgia beat them by 2 points with a Nate Frazier touchdown, and Georgia will play in the college football playoff almost certain. I don't see how they would miss it now, and we're at where we're at. But thanks for watching. We will have some more highlights for you, and we'll it's just this season will end at some stage.
7 in a row, right?
Over the
Against the
Jackets
Jackets.
since 2016. That's right. Thanks for watching.